We welcome one of our faves from ESPN SportsCenter, a diehard New York sports fan that she is. Linda Cohn joins us here for a few minutes on Big Board Sports. Linda, Rodger, Wyland in Albany, good morning.
Good morning. How you guys doing today?
Fantastic. How about you?
Good, Raj.
Everything's good. Now, we're in the, have you ever been to Saratoga, Linda?
You know what? I know it's a great place to be. I've been there once, but it was many years ago because, as you know, I went to school in Oswego State, and it was sort of in that area of, like, things I had to go to and experience. So I haven't been there in a while, but I know it's a go-to. It
is a go-to, and, of course, my producer went to the same college that you did, so he's already doing jumping jacks over here when you bring up your school.
It's a fabulous school. Of course he's doing jumping jacks. He should do somersaults as well.
Hey, let's start. We had a little disagreement off the top of our show. I actually think the Jay Bruce trade for the Mets makes sense. They need a guy to drive in some runs, and he certainly can do that. He's got 80 RBIs and 25 home runs. I know it's not a perfect fit, but I think it was a good move, all things considered, by the Mets. Brady not necessarily in agreement with that. Where do you stand on the Mets trade to get Jay Bruce?
Listen, I'm with you. Can you imagine if the Mets didn't do anything? It's already so depressing to watch this team in that lineup, and basically you have, half of it's from AAA because of all the injuries the Mets have suffered this season. It's just been an uphill climb for Terry Collins and company. So for Sandy Alderson to go out and get a guy like Jay Bruce, I mean, what Met fans have to realize, though, just kind of hold on. It is exciting that he leads the NL in RBI with 80 coming in to tonight's game, but the fact is this. I mean, his lineup, even though the Reds are the Reds, they're not so great either. He had Joey Votto around him, and that makes a big difference. And until Cespedes is 100%, I don't think we're going to see the best of Jay Bruce yet, but I love the deal. I'm one with this. I mean, we saw a little Dilson Herrera. You got to give the guy up. Hey, maybe the Mets go out and sign Neil Walker next year, depending on how many teams are after him because he'll be a free agent at the end of this season. And I heard Sandy Alderson did not rule that out. So, listen, the pitching staff is good enough right now where you still have to think now. So I like the move.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, and we'll see it. He'll be in the lineup tonight, and then Terry Collins has to juggle things around a little bit. But all in all, the Mets needed to do something, and they did. How about this Mets season, Linda? More about the roster holes or injuries or lack of performance. How do you look at this Mets team and the season up to this point?
Well, it's disappointing, obviously, because of Matt Harvey was a big setback. We knew something wasn't right, and then so the Mets lose him for the year. Jacob deGrom is still trying to find himself, and so is Steven Matz. So what we saw last year out of those two guys, hopefully they're on the upswing. There's just so far that Logan Verrett can carry you. I mean, he has one bad inning a start, and it usually can do this team in because they don't hit. What is a disappointing season? Like I look at Curtis Granderson, great guy, great human, bad season so far. It doesn't come close to what he did last year in all phases of the game. He just doesn't get on base. And he was last year, if you guys remember, such a great spark, and he came up with some timely hitting. And, there's no Lucas Duda. We know all the injuries already, right? So certain times of last year, there were certain players that carried the Mets through deep trouble. And this year, with all the injuries, including Cespedes, and, without Cespedes, the Mets are going nowhere. They're not going to get it. They're not going to get in the postseason. You don't have to be an expert to know that. But so he's got to get right. But he's got one of those nagging injuries. So they really have to play on the safe side. And, again, that's why Alderson had to go out and get a guy like Jay Bruce just to keep people and fannies in the seats.
Linda, does the Subway Series still have juice to you, or does it just kind of resonate as here's another must-win series in a playoff chase?
It's funny. I mean, we all know what baseball is about right now in this day and age. It's a regional sport, right? So unless your team you have an emotional connection with and is winning or at least treading above water, then you're going to watch your team. You still may not watch all 9 or 10 innings in the case of last night, but you're going to watch. I found myself appointment viewing last night. I mean, it was still Mets-Yankees. Does it have the heat of the old days? No, especially because the Yankees are so diluted. But it was a very entertaining game. And unfortunately for Met fans, it ended on a sour note. But listen, I had that excitement when Matt Reynolds hit the 3-run homer. I was tweeting out at Linda Cohn. I was so pumped up. I'm like, wow, this is great. And Wilmer Flores, I'm like, okay, here we go. Citi Field packed. So, yeah, I think it still has the juice. And anytime the Mets can beat the Yankees, I don't care if they're a AAA team. It's a big deal, and they need to win.
We're talking with Linda Cohn, ESPN Sports Center anchor. Does a great job, diehard New York sports fan, and she's on Big Board Sports here on this Tuesday morning. A couple other things, Linda. Let's run down a few other questions here. Who will have the better season, in your opinion, the Giants or the Jets?
Wow, that's a good question. When you look, I'm still leaning toward the Giants because I think the Jets' schedule, the first 6 games of their season, very challenging. Very, very challenging. The Giants, I like the direction they're going. I mean, obviously, I have no worries about the offense. I haven't had any worries about Eli Manning and company the last couple of years because Eli was able to make a major adjustment, especially last year after getting 1 year under his belt under Ben McAdoo as the offensive coordinator, was able to do something that many quarterbacks cannot do and just about change everything he knows and has learned. And he did so. And then you really saw it come to fruition last year, even though it's a 6-win season. But the reason why they were not in the playoffs, 4 or 5 of those wins losses were courtesy of this bad defense. The worst defense in the NFL. I called it the welcome mat defense. Come on in, everybody. You're welcome to come in the end zone. It's an open house because that's what it was, especially late in games. So obviously Jerry Reese, looking to save his job, went out and got some big money free agent defensive stars. And, Giant fans like myself are hoping they will mesh for Steve Spagnuolo, who, believe it or not, I can't believe this guy still has his job, but he does. So I think he is on the hot seat this year, and Jerry Reese is on the hot seat this year. They must make the playoffs, and I believe they will have a better record than the Jets. But the Jets, are solid, great defense, but, they got to stay healthy. The Brandon Marshalls and the Matt Fortes, they're not youngsters, and Ryan Fitzpatrick is you're one hit away, and then Geno Smith is your quarterback.
Linda, Carmelo Anthony, we were just having this discussion. Carmelo Anthony with the Knicks gets all kind of grief. He's public enemy number 1. Carmelo Anthony with Team USA, efficient, motivated. What do you think the difference is? And have you noticed the difference in Melo playing with the national team versus the Knicks?
Well, I think you guys know this. I mean, it's just sort of like there's so much pressure off this guy because he doesn't have to be the man for Team USA. There are, at least 12 men, meaning, superstars playing all together. So it's just a fun situation where, let's face it, there's no pressure. They're going to win. This just in. They're going to win the gold medal, okay? That's why when his tenure with the New York Knicks, he's always had to be the guy, the man. And if we recall, we always remember and wonder as Knicks fans if that really is a good role for him. And over the last, years he's been a New York Knick, you can make a case he really needed someone else that could take some of that pressure off him. And I don't mean just the scoring pressure or, anything else, how you can contribute on a basketball court. He needs a superstar alongside of him. He is a star, but Carmelo, I always feel, needed a superstar along with him. And they never gave him a star, at least a star with him on the court, but he's the type of guy that gels with superstars, and that's why you're seeing, greatness with Team USA.
Yeah, and I'll follow up with Linda. I think now that the Knicks have, got better players certainly surrounding him, I think you see a different Melo next year, and I think a Knicks team that if they can stay healthy, should make the postseason.
Oh, yeah, I'm with you. I mean, that Eastern Conference is a joke. So, I mean, I see the Knicks getting in the sixth seed is what I'm looking at, somewhere around that neighborhood, 6 or 7. Again, stay healthy is the key, right? But I love Joakim Noah, especially as one of the bigger pickups, only because of what he brings in the locker room, and on the court. And that's one of those guys that will help relieve definitely some of the pressure for Carmelo Anthony. And he's such a good guy. And he gels with anybody he is a teammate with. And obviously he's reunited with Derrick Rose. And, just hopefully, we see this in other sports. Guys get up in years and then they're reborn. We don't know why. We don't want to ask questions. But hopefully whatever those other people are taking, like the, David Ortiz's of the world, can he share with some of the old aging New York Knicks? Because you never know.
We're talking with Linda Cohn, SportsCenter anchor, diehard New York sports fan. We know you're a diehard Rangers fan. Did you enjoy seeing the Islanders make a nice run in the Stanley Cup playoffs?
Is that a sarcastic question? Enjoy. I have
It probably is,
always
yeah.
hating on me. No, I actually thought I enjoyed the Florida Panthers getting into the playoffs and taking that jump. My second favorite team is indeed the Florida Panthers, and they're very likable, great organization, and with Jaromir Jagr is one of my favorite all-time players. I was rooting for them big time, and the only reason why they lost to the Islanders was because, their goaltending issues. I mean, with all due respect to Roberto Luongo, he's getting up in years, and, that's an area that Florida has to worry about because Thomas Greiss played out of his mind for the Islanders. If Thomas Greiss played like Thomas Greiss, the Panthers would have won it by default, because no matter what John Tavares did, he was only allowed to do it because of the great goaltending by Thomas Greiss. So, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of season the Islanders have. Also, the Rangers, you can make a case that both teams should take a step back.
Linda, finally, I'm going to get to the question I've been wanting to ask you. So you mentioned Oswego State. The last two times I've spoken to you, I think the last time was in March, I asked you if you were going to get a sub at the Oswego Sub Shop named after you. That has finally happened, so congratulations. But the guys in Syracuse asked you right after I did, and they're taking credit for spearheading the Get Linda Cohn a Sub effort. I think it started here in Albany.
You could make a case that it did start in Albany, but they put the wheels in motion.
Oh.
I love what you did. You put it out there in the universe, and then the Syracuse guys picked up the ball and ran with it and actually did their due diligence and made it happen. I'm going to be up there in Oswego like October 17th. I'll be in Syracuse October 16th. I'm actually going to a Syracuse Crunch game, making an appearance that Saturday. That weekend. I know that's for the Tampa Bay Lightning, but I really love that area, as you guys know, from Albany to Oswego. So I'm going to stop in Syracuse and make an appearance here at the Crunch, and then I'm like, wow, as long as I'm up here, I got to go to Oswego and go to the Oswego Sub Shop and have my sub. And so I'm really big with the social media, so at Linda Cohn, Facebook Live, Twitter, and Instagram and all that. So guys got to follow me because you never know. It would be some funny pics. And I'll go live too.
What did you end up getting on the sub?
The Oswego Sub Shop. How great is that?
I want to be there right now. What did you end up getting on the sub?
Oh, healthy stuff: grilled chicken, spinach leaves, cucumbers. They couldn't supply all the healthy ingredients that I wanted. No offense to Oswego Sub Shop, not available. When you're on a cop, basically, it's Oswego Subs to me is like, even though it's not on campus, it's, as you guys know, it's just part of the campus, so to speak. And, when you're in college, remember those days, you really, eating healthy was not your number one concern with healthy ingredients. So I give the Oswego Sub Shop credit to find me spinach leaves. So that was enough.
Well, I can't wait to have it, and I got to go to Oswego myself soon. So Green's Ale House and a Linda Cohn sub. There's my plan in Oswego. Roger, you're coming with.
All right, yeah, that sounds good to me. I'm always up for a good sub. You don't have to twist my arm on that one. Hey, Linda, I got to ask you, how long have you been now with ESPN?
Started in July 1st, 1992. So I just hit my. Let's do the math, everybody. So I just hit my 24th anniversary on July 1st, my 24th anniversary. I had a slow working brain here, folks.
Well, I always enjoy, I see yourself. Yeah, a long time, which says something when you're at one place for that long. I was just telling our listeners, and Brady, for me, I work at the NBC affiliate up here, WNYT, as the sports director, and coming up in a couple of weeks, it'll be 30 years for me. I came in the summer of 1986. So, hey, good long runs, right?
Yeah, and here's the thing, which I'm really proud of. I mean, I don't know if you have a family. I mean, I'm really proud of the fact that raised two kids, didn't move them around all over the place, like many in our business have to do. Sometimes they have no choice, and I understand that. But I had opportunities to leave. I chose not to. I stayed loyal. And maybe we don't get paid as much as others because our loyalty should be rewarded in our country, no matter what business you're in. It doesn't in our business for some reason. And it's almost like you're worth more if you go somewhere else and come back, which we've seen. I don't know about you, but I've seen it around me. But I would never trade anything in because I see how it's reflected on my children who are now grown and how important it is they all had their same friends growing up. And that, you can't put a price tag on that. So you should be rewarded for your long-standing, run, and I'm glad I stayed.
Yeah, well, we all are, and congratulations on your great run and continued success. And Linda, thanks for a few minutes here on ESPN Radio in Albany.
Anytime. Enjoy your summer.
Thank you, Linda. Appreciate it. Linda Cohn,